Well, I'm back to talk Clippers basketball again. Yay. Yay. I'm not excited to talk about Clippers basketball because every time I talk about this team, it pisses me on. They piss me off even more. So obviously this is the day after well, I'm recording this video the day after the Thunder have officially won the NBA championship. Now bunch of crazy stuff happened. Tyrese Halliburton got down. Or got injured and stuff like that. And he ended up tearing his Achilles, which was confirmed on Monday. It sucks, man. That dude was cooking OKC early in that first quarter. And then when I saw that pop in his calf area, I knew his Achilles was cooked. So maybe if my uncle Daryl is watching this video, um, maybe this is one of the NBA topics we need to talk about. Why are NBA players always getting hurt, and why are NBA players getting Achilles injuries more often than now? And also, maybe we have to make a video in regards to, well, the fact is the East is wide the hell open in terms of where that is. Right now, you have to put your money that the top three teams that you could probably put on money on to get to the finals in the East is either the Pistons, the Knicks, the Knicks, the Knicks, the Magic, and the Cavs. Those right now are my top four teams in the East that could potentially get to the NBA Finals. They're still going to lose to whoever comes out of the West because the West is just a gauntlet, but that's it. But anyways, the Thunder won. Another terrible nightmare in Clippers history of the fact that we were basically the people or the team that fueled the OKC Thunder getting to where they are today because we stupidly, and I'm still of the opinion, despite what other Clipper fans on Twitter and social media and some other media members say about, regardless, you still have to do that deal. I don't care. I've already made a video talking about how shitty that deal was and how I'm 100 now percent against it. And I don't give a shit if people want to say, oh, I'm using the hindsight 2020 excuse and shit like that. That trade should have never fucking happened. You should have never fucking did that trade. And it makes it even worse now that they won a championship because the Clippers were supposed to win a championship before the Thunder and they never fucking did. And now the Thunder won a championship and potentially are on the verge of potentially becoming a dynasty if they end up winning more championships because of it. And it's all thanks to the Clippers. It's all thanks to Kawhi Leonard, Steve Ballmer, and Lawrence Frank. Jesus, man. Take me back to 2020 and 2021 when I was actually happy to watch this team. This team makes me sick and it makes me even more pissed off the fact that I want this dude, Kawhi Leonard, off my freaking team. I don't care what anybody says. Kawhi Leonard is my most hated Clipper of all time. He should be the most hated Clipper of all time. He robbed us of a generational talent in Shai just because he needed a co-star because he never trusted this team to begin with, which is kind of the topic of this video. So I don't know if the podcast episode released or if it will release on Wednesday. But Pat Beverly on um one of the podcast on his podcast, the Pat Bev podcast, he basically, had a short little clip on it on the social media page, and he basically kind of in a weird way kind of said, yeah, we probably should have not done that trade. Because his co-host on his podcast basically asked, I don't know. It was just one clip. I'll post the clip in the video, right? But basically, the co-host basically made a mention. So going back at it now, do you think the Clippers regret doing that trade for Shea and all those picks and everything, right? Um, and he basically explained, like, look, it's no disrespect to Paul George. He is, at the time he was a really good basketball player. And he was like top three in MVP and stuff like that. But, you look back at it now and the hindsight is there, it's like, well, then Jane, you could have had all this what OKC's got. And on top of it, you had basically an MVP generational player in your freaking organization and you just trade him away because, oh, Kawhi said so, right? And then in the clip, Pat Bev said, basically just alludes to the fact of saying, like, yeah, Kawhi realistically just didn't know the makeup of her team. He didn't understand what we actually brought to the table. And Patrick Beverly in this clip does say, like, look, we just needed that one dude. Because we took the Warriors, and this is with Kevin Durant on the team. Prime Kevin Durant, prime Steph Curry, prime Klay Thompson, prime Draymond Green. You remember, back in the 2019 playoffs, we took the Golden State Warriors, the unbeatable Golden State Warriors, to 6 games in the playoffs. And Patrick Beverly made a mention about that, and he said, mind you, we did that playing with two rookies, starting realistically two rookies, which was Shai and Landry Shamet at the time. We took that team to 6 games, and Patrick Beverly, following up what he just made a mention, he's like, look, we just believe we needed that one more, we need that one guy, and Kawhi was that dude. And, Kawhi, for whatever reason, that's basically what he alluded to, what Patrick Beverly said, is the fact that, we just needed that one guy there to come in here and, we would go. We just need that one dude and everything. He basically, said, as I'm pulling up the quote, um, hold on. He basically said, outside looking in, Kawhi probably didn't know the makeup of our team, which is factually correct. He didn't understand the makeup of the team. We had solid players, we had a solid roster. We just needed one dude. We didn't need an extra guy. One dude. One dude. That was that guy. And again, like I said in my last video talking about the Clippers, again, there's blame to go around altogether. There's blame on Kawhi. It's blame on Lawrence Frank and Steve Ballmer for desperately trading away all those picks and Shea without doing the due diligence necessary to basically, do what needed to be done. They foolishly traded all those picks and Shea, and even Gallo, I think Gallo was included in there too, was because they were afraid of Kawhi going to the Lakers when they should have just played his bluff because realistically, I don't think he was going to the Lakers. I don't think he was going to the Lakers. It was clear he wanted to come back home and he wanted to play back at home. I think he wanted to go to the Clippers, but the Clippers, they were so desperate because I think Kawhi's camp made it seem as if they were going to go target the Lakers then if the Clippers weren't going to listen to his demands. And desperation sets in. Lawrence Frank and Steve Ballmer felt like they needed to get this locked in, and they stupidly did a trade that they should have never done. They blindly did the trade. Sam Presti's like, well, okay, we want this, 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 this. Okay, yes, okay, okay, okay. But Kawhi, we got a running mate. Come over here. And then that's when Kawhi signed. It's stupid, man. Should never did that. Lawrence Frank and Steve Ballmer should have said, dude, we took the Golden State Warriors to 6 games. The same Golden State Warriors team you beat with the Toronto Raptors in the finals. Mind you, you needed Kevin Durant to go down to an Achilles injury, just like similar like that in with Halliburton to even have the Raptors beat the Warriors. On top of it, Klay Thompson also got hurt too. So they won that finals strictly due to Golden State's injuries showing up at the wrong time. And that's what essentially happened. And the difference is the Clippers in 2019 took that Golden State Warriors team to 6 games. We actually made them work. If we had taken them to 7 games, that would have been crazy. But we took those dudes to 6 games, and they damn near escaped beating us. See, that's the thing, man. Kawhi didn't understand what we did. And he should have just came in and said, okay, cool. But no, the Clippers caved because they were desperate. They were scared because at that time, and even when you go into the early 2-1-3 era, every single move, every single thing that had a reaction for the Lakers, the Clippers had, whoa, 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 we got to get on in this. We can't have the Lakers do this shit because they were more concerned about the Lakers than the freaking Clippers or than what they needed to focus on internally. And that's why they didn't do the due diligence. So the fact that Petra Beverly basically came out in a weird way, he kind of basically confirmed, like, yeah, I don't think we needed to make that trade. And he does make the mention, like, yeah, hey, we got Paul George. It was kind of like, oh, wow, okay, we got two for the price of one. Okay, we'll take it. Yeah, as a player on the team, you'll take it. But now looking at Petra Beverly, who was on that team, who played with Shai, I know Petra Beverly he's probably of the opinion, like, yeah, we probably just needed only really one guy. We didn't need to get Paul George. We just needed one guy. Now, could the players have done their due diligence and tried to convince Kawhi to say, hey man, look, we got something special building here. You just need to be added to the picture and we can go crazy. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. And this just goes to further confirm that the Clippers never should have made that trade. They should never did that. It was a stupid trade. Stupid trade, and it's a top three worst NBA trade of all time. I'm not saying top one. If the Thunder become a dynasty, then it's hands down the worst trade in NBA history because that was absolutely stupid. And before I get out of here, it's plain and simple. It's plain and simple. There's blame to go around. I've already mentioned about the blame with Lawrence Frank and Steve Ballmer. Those idiots were too damn desperate to try to show up the Lakers and one up the Lakers, which then led, when they did that, it led to that stupid slogan, the street lights over spotlights and shit like that. And then they had to take a hard pill in reality when they got their asses embarrassed in the bubble. But for people, especially the Kawhi stands, who think Kawhi is not of any fault. He is a fault. He need to demand the Clippers to do all this shit. Yes, he's a free agent, but you're not a trade person. You're coming willingly. If the Clippers weren't interested, or if the Clippers, thing wasn't appealing to you, well then guess what? You don't make demands of them. And you basically don't tell them, hey, I need a second star to work with. It's funny he says he needed a second star to work with when he was in Toronto and he basically won them the chip himself. They had a solid bunch of role players around him. Pascal Siakam wasn't the Pascal Siakam he was today. And and when you think of Pascal Siakam, he's not a superstar player. He's a good to around a star player, but he's not a superstar player. Kyle Lowry was a solid player. I guess in Raptors terms, he was looked as a superstar for Raptors fans, but realistically, you can say Kyle Lowry was probably just a star player, if not a solid or really damn good role player. Serge Ibaka was a really good role player. Marc Gasol was a really good role player. He wasn't the Marc Gasol from frickin' Memphis in his prime. OG Anunoby was on that team. He was just a role player. Norman Powell was on that team. He was just a role player. You get what I'm saying? The only true superstar on that Raptors team was Kawhi. He basically willed them and got them to the finals. Clippers were set up exactly like the Toronto Raptors. Had a good supporting cast of role players to surround Kawhi to do a dang good job to win. And Kawhi, for whatever reason, he just wasn't bought in on that, knowing damn well he did the exact same thing with Toronto. Have no clue why he was demanding, oh, I need a second star. Was that because he wanted to take a load off of him, off his back? Well then, dude, if you can't be the number one dude, well, you're running from the fucking grind, bro. If I That just tells me he wasn't willing to be the number one dude. Shit, Kevin Durant right now is basically the number one guy there. They got the Rockets have a bunch of solid role players and an up and coming player in I think Amen Thompson, um, who is going to be their breakout star because he showed a lot of promise, just like how Shai showed a lot of promise on the Clippers, right? Kevin Durant's going to a Houston Rockets team, albeit he got traded there, but they got solid role players, not really any superstar players that Kevin Durant demanded, just a bunch of good cast members, a good bunch of role players, and maybe in some fans' eyes, you consider Thompson and maybe Sengun a star, but realistically, they're just really good NBA players, right? Kevin Durant's going to that team, and people are already putting them in the title contender picture. So you're telling me Kawhi needed to have all these crazy demands? He desperately needed a second star? No, he didn't. He didn't. And this is why he gets the blame too. If he wasn't feeling the Clippers playing in their roster with what the way they look like in 2019, he should have said, "Thank you, but I'm not interested then. That's not my thing." And then that's when the Clippers could have pivoted and said, "Okay, fine. Still have a bright future with the young upcoming Shai." And then you build around Shai. Or you just play Kawhi's fucking bluff and just believe, like, dude, we're not doing this. We're not mortgaging our fucking future for you, bro. So we're gonna play your bluff because we think you're gonna come here regardless or not. And if he had went to another team, he went back to Toronto or he went to the Lakers, so be it. At least you tried and said, "Hey, we're staying put. We're trying to get you to come here." Again, I don't know why Kawhi wasn't so gun-ho set on the Clippers with the way the roster looked like, but it's like Patrick Beverly said. We had the roster, solid enough role players. And again, it's kind of the whole thing. And I had this kind of argument, in my Clippers group chat. I said Kawhi should have did the LeBron thing. And that is endure 1 year. And if things are going good, fine. We don't need to make any changes. But if things are not going the way it's going, okay, we'll make a pivot and maybe at either the deadline or next off season, we'll make a move for a superstar caliber player because you never know with these superstars in the NBA. They can get disgruntled after one freaking year. Like, just imagine, like legitimately, just imagine if we waited a few years, things weren't going right. Guess what? When Kevin Durant was basically wanting out from Brooklyn, you would have had the draft capital to go get freaking Kevin Durant. And again, meanwhile, you could have had Shea develop and he could have been the player he is. Now, maybe he would have not been as good as he is on OKC now, but there's always that what if moment. What if he actually ended up becoming the same exact player he is in OKC now, where he takes the next step, and next thing you know, maybe you don't need him to basically go crazy. You don't need to trade for another dude because guess what? You not only have your point guard, you have basically a solid future and you have a generational MVP player alongside Kawhi. And again, it was known. The front office and even Doc Rivers at the time as the coach, they knew Shea Gilgeous would turn into the player he is today. They knew that's how good he was and how much potential he had. And the Clippers just gave up on him after 1 year because they were that desperate to get Kawhi. That's what I'm saying. They should have told Kawhi, bump that. If you're not sold, then thank you for your time. We'll be over here. You still would have had your picks, and you still would have had Shea. And in any event, he did come here for endure 1 year. You could have did that, still found a way to keep Shea, and just gave up freaking draft capital. Just draft capital. Not Shea, just draft capital. But Lawrence Frank and Steve Ballmer didn't do it. But again, those are my three guys that I blame: Kawhi, Lawrence Frank, and Steve Ballmer. And again, I hate Kawhi. If I ever go to a Clipper game, I'm not wearing that dude's jersey again. That fucker, I'm not buying a Kawhi Leonard, current Clippers jersey. That dude is dead to me. I hate that guy. because he made all these unnecessary demands and all this shit that we didn't have to deal with. So that's my take on the whole situation. I'll post the clip of the Patrick Beverly little clip from his podcast where he talked about his thoughts about that and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go out for guys. If you guys like the video, leave a like. Put in the comment section your thoughts. Clipper fans, do you think that trade was still worth it now that OKC's got a chip and everything? Do you agree with Patrick Beverly that we realistically only needed just one superstar player to add to the team? Or do you think we should have just still did the trade no matter what? Because we needed to bring Kawhi Leonard here. Bunch of different questions can be asked and shit like that, but regardless. But this is the last I'm talking about this shit. This is like legitimately the last thing because what's done is done. I still hate the Clippers' direction that they're going in. And I just don't like it. I don't think they're going to be in a favorable position to win the championship. Now, if they were fucking in the Eastern Conference, then I feel more comfortable and more confident. See, if they were in the Eastern Conference, then yeah, I actually believe this team right now could actually get to the fucking NBA Finals. But no, we're in the fucking loaded ass West. But again, it's stupid, man. It's stupid. I really do hope after this season, this is the season where shit doesn't go good again, which it won't. I hope literally substantial changes are made. I hope Lawrence Frank is gone, Ty Lue's gone, Kawhi's fucking gone, and James Harden's gone. But it's stupid, man. I'm sick of this. This is the last shit this is the last time I'm talking about this Kawhi stuff. Dude pisses me off so much. He's my most hated Clipper. That's another thing. Do you hate Kawhi with a burning passion now? Is he your most hated Clipper? We'll see. Anyways, catch you guys in the next video. And then here's that clip for Patrick Beverly on this podcast talking about the trade that probably should have never happened. Till then, guys, see you guys in the next video. Peace.
At that trade now, who won? Would you rather have kept Shai and those picks for Paul George?
Definitely. It's not any type of personal shot at Paul George, but you look at Shai's production and his ceiling and what you can do and they have done with the draft picks. The draft picks allow you to trade for another player like that. And I don't think that the Clippers, if they knew what Shai was going to turn into, would have ever made that trade. Now, in retrospect, it's, you have a player of the archetype that you're looking for. Why are you getting rid of him? I guess Paul George is a little bit more established at that point.
I think it was Kawhi too. I think coming in, you get these star guys. I think they think they need more help than what they really need. Outside looking in, Kawhi probably didn't know the makeup of our team. And honestly, after that year, we took Golden State 6 games with starting 2 rookies. We only needed one more guy. We only needed the guy. The guy added with Gallinari, Shai, Sham, me, Lou Trez. Like, we was happy as fuck. Like, damn, we got Paul George too. Like, this gonna be even more crazier. We were just thinking like, man, we get one main guy, it's a wrap next year.
I think sometimes when teams try to overstuff, it's like a sandwich with every ingredient in it. Like, this shit is not going to taste good.